I think it's very important that Obia Ajune Ewo under 20 no to the Bia if you must say Omunamuye golden generation.
Yeah.
Let's just say under 20 no it's a very prime youth age where players who get to that phase, get the opportunity of getting into first team squads. Because a first team squad, not necessarily in the senior national team, but also necessarily on the part of club elite levels, Premiership, First Divisions, and playing the Champions League and other things. Into a group B, almost somewhat say every time we want to pay attention to that squad, and more especially how we have to think about the opportunities we create in terms of their competition structure, in terms of giving them that consistency in how they can improve before they develop. Many times we are talking about development, but we are not talking about how we can give them the opportunity to improve in different aspects of their game. And for me, the interesting part is that many of these boys have had the opportunity of being together for at least close to 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And not necessarily just these 23 players, but there are over 200 players that had the opportunity of coming to the base of the under-20s. It means that at least they have the opportunity of being together. And at some point of their development, they will meet again.
Yeah.
And that's the transition.
Yeah. But how crucial is that youth group, in the development of a player who want to play at the very highest level, the 8th category, 20? How crucial is it?
Okay. The most important part of it is that let's look at football as a very complex sport. And also, we're looking at the level that we want to take away the complexity and the coincidences. And that is why we want to keep a clear structure. And that's why, there were positions of scouting events, screening, and then trying to get them together and also putting them into the database. So the key aspect is that, or the crucial moment of them is that we were able to identify these players. So when you identify them, maybe some will be in House of Folk, Kotoko, Olympics, the Youngsters, Northern City, or whatever. But at least once they are captured in the database, then occasionally when you are looking for under 19 players, you have the category. When you are looking for under 21, you have the category. When you are looking for the 21s, you have the category. 23, you have the category. That is the crucial moment. But when you lose the chance of identifying them, then it becomes a problem. But once they have been identified and then a database has been accumulated into a box, then it is possible that some of them will come immediate, like a free.
Jerry Free,
I spotted him during some games when they played in Medina, and then Miss Bao, I spotted him also. Aaron also, I spotted him. Aaron had the chance of being with the under 23s, so he's an elite person. So the next phase he's looking for is under 23 or the Blasters. So you chalk on the experiences of these situations to groom the group, and so that is a crucial moment in terms of this development.
And for the history I thought I said sometimes when we fail to make the World Cup at the 20 level,
it's not the end of the world. Honestly, in my opinion, in my little experience and the knowledge in terms of development, it is not about the winning. The winning is just a part of motivation that we get. The winning is just part of, but we need to get them into the processes of winning, not advocating for winning, but the processes of winning, so that when they get to this point, all that they need is opportunities.
Yeah.
The opportunities to trade, to get that exposure, and that's why in my earlier talk I spoke about what competition structure. Mm-hmm. They had the chance of playing in the All African Games. They had the chance of playing the WAFU. Now they had the chance of playing the AFCON, under 20, and then they have the chance of they didn't have the chance of going to the World Cup. It's also part of learning. Sometimes losing is also part of learning from coach's point of view and from players' point of view. And because you can never have that experience if you didn't participate. They know what it takes when you get to that stage. Some of them might be lucky to come back again. Others will be lucky to go to the U23, and that one will lead them into the future.
There's a school of thought I believe is a majority of the progress depends on the players. As someone who's worked with a lot of young players, what should the players be doing so that
No,
potentially
I
they get to the
think that
highest
when
level?
when we do that, we are getting it wrong. Yeah, they can only thrive when they have an enabling environment.
Yeah.
The enabling environment is that we have the chance of putting them together, and then they have the chance coming under very top level coaches. We had Aziz also coming up from Barcelona, others coming from other places. They also have various experiences. Some of them actually had the chance of being with us at the Galaxies level. It is also a chunk of experience, and these ones you shouldn't underestimate. What it takes. It's very important that you need to appreciate that it gives them a lot of football knowledge, and they learn not only on the pitch, they also learn from each other. They also learn from structures of different situations. They learn from the games that they play. Their understanding and education is so important, and that is what we should be thinking. All that the national team is doing is that club level should replicate this and then try to infuse these attributes into their structures. That is how our football can thrive at the top level.
Very well, very well. But let's also talk about Ofe or a coach. Sometimes as a manager, you can do all that within you to get the best results. And what happens to your psyche, your mentality, and even the willingness to even work?
Okay, that is why I said football has to be player centered. The players give coaches opportunities to continuously educate themselves, to continuously get themselves the culture of understanding how it looks like being in a defeat, how it feels like being in moments of success. You have all these ones happening and that's why I said the sport itself is complex, but we try to take out the complexity and the coincidences, and that is why we need to try as much as possible to educate our players and educate ourselves in terms of our cognitive adherence, in terms of how to solve problems, how to make right decisions, how to have pattern recognition, how to have awareness and attention, how to have perception and anticipation, how to have memory and stay resilient. So as coaches, we need to also, if we are trying to help players to become cognitively imbibed in this aspect, we also have to train ourselves to stay resilient. There will be times when you think that we are the best side, but you didn't win. Losing is part of the sport. Losing is part of it, and losing is part of our education as coaches and as players. But we need to let the sport be more player-centered. Then that will push you to go to the next phase. So I think that the coach has to brace enough to know that, yes, my consolation is that I've brought up players who are likely to move to their next phase of their development. That should be your trump card.
Sure. I'm sure so. Tia, you take some wisdom from what you're saying. Again, one of the major things we've notified or talked about this show is our mentality when it comes to penalty kick. Can it ever change?
One moment, if you ask them, they will tell you that we've trained enough. If you ask them, the player who missed it, they will tell you that he's one of the best kickers. But how many best kickers of penalties have missed? Ronaldo have missed penalties at crucial moments. Messi have missed before. All the top players have missed before. Franco Baresi missed. All the top players have missed in very crucial moments. But that is just part of the sport. It's just part of it that we need to acknowledge. Irrespective of you finishing in training and you get to the game, sometimes you need a half goal, but you don't get. But, you hear people saying that, no, they have to do more finishing practices. They have to be deliberate in terms of their training sessions, in terms of finishing. Yes, but in actual sense, when you can do all these things. And in the game, it's a different temperament. In the game, it's a different atmosphere. Sometimes you hit it well and hit the goal, and then they said luck was not on your side. It's also part of it. But I would say that irrespective of how you train it, the opponent is equally training like that. And so you shouldn't say that you think that you didn't do enough penalty shootout. They change to bring in a goalkeeper for the penalty shootout. Sometimes the goalkeeper can come in and even he will even save one. It can happen. Sometimes he comes in and he saves one. They'll say, the coach made the right decision. It happens. So sometimes the coach will pick 5 players and all the players he will score. Other times he picks them and then maybe someone does not score. And it's like, okay, he should have picked this or that. It doesn't occur well. I think what is important is that we need to acknowledge that we are into development, we are into promotion of our sport, and we are into promotion and then education of our players. The state gives them the opportunity to be better educated in terms of the competition structure.
Anyways, Coach, thank you very much. But where do we go from here in terms of our youth development?
I think that the transition of these players is very important. Not only these players who remember that I said the database maybe captured more over 200 players.
Yeah.
Those over 200 players, they should never be overlooked. Anytime you are looking for some have early ages and others had late. So in terms of their transition, they can move up, and others will also come up. Those who even didn't make up this trip, there are others who didn't make up the trip. They are all part of it. It's the database. Once you build the database, you still will have players who are coming out of the database, but they will be very, very few. But those who are in the database, when something happens, you are training, we have this player playing here. You know where they are. And occasionally, something happens, you bring them together.
Coach, Irasi, Yamishao. Coach Didi Dramani, assistant coach for the Black Stars under 23 on our coach team. Under 20 and the feelings, how you in two places when you say, yeah, me and me and Sabi Crow